Okay, let's just jump right in. Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. So I want you to start by doing something a little fun for me. Close your eyes for just a second, and I want you to picture the absolute most fun, kind, and pleasant person you know. You got them in your head? Okay, maybe it's a friend at school, maybe a teacher, or even someone in your family. Now think about how they make you feel when they just walk into the room. Usually when that person is around, you just feel happy, right? You literally just want to be near them. Well, today, we're diving into a devotional that talks all about this exact feeling, and it actually explains where that amazing energy comes from.
So, keeping that awesome person in mind, have you ever met someone who is seriously just a joy to be around? The devotional we're exploring today actually calls this feeling an irresistible influence. Now, irresistible means it's something you literally can't say no to. It's kind of like a superpower. But, instead of flying or lifting heavy cars, this superpower makes everyone want to be your friend. It just makes people feel safe and happy whenever you're around.
Now you're probably wondering, where does this superpower actually come from? Well, the devotional kicks things off with this quote from the Bible. It's Colossians 3:12. Put on then, as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassion, kindness, lowliness, meekness, and patience. Okay, so this tells us right out of the gate that this irresistible superpower, it isn't magic. It definitely doesn't come from a radioactive spider bite. It comes directly from having Jesus in our hearts. When we choose to follow Jesus, we're basically putting on these amazing qualities like a superhero cape, compassion, kindness, and patience.
And the devotional says that in everyday, real life, this superpower looks like three super simple things: kind words, pleasant looks, and a cheerful countenance. Now, countenance is really just a fancy old-school word for the expression on your face. Basically, just having a cheerful, smiling face. The devotional tells us that these three simple things throw this charm around you. And honestly, the best part? They cost absolutely $0. They take barely any effort, but they make your influence totally amazing. I mean, just smiling and saying something nice to a classmate can completely change their whole entire day.
As we read through the devotional, we do run into some kind of big words. So let's break this next one down really quick. Deportment. I know, it sounds like a word a super strict principal might use, right? But really, deportment simply means how you act and behave every single day. It's just your manners. It's how you treat your brother or sister when you're playing a game, or how you talk to your parents at the dinner table. The devotional says that when you have the Spirit of Christ, it literally flows right out of you and shows up in courteous, polite deportment. All right, moving on to Section 1, Roots and Sweet Fruit, a living tree. To really help us wrap our heads around this, the devotional uses this amazing picture, and I want you to imagine it with me. Picture a massive, super healthy tree growing right out of the ground. Think of like an apple tree or an orange tree, just completely full of bright green leaves and delicious fruit. Well, it turns out this tree is exactly like us. Let's look at exactly how this tree works. Step 1 happens way down underground where nobody can even see it. The roots of the tree drink up water. For us, our hidden roots are drawing from Jesus. That's an internal thing happening deep in our hearts. Step 2 is transformation. Because the tree is getting really good, pure water, it changes and grows super strong. And then step 3 is external. It's what everybody else actually gets to see. Because of those super healthy roots, sweet fruit just naturally grows on the outside branches for everyone to enjoy.
So the absolutely crucial point here is this one sentence from the devotional. External change will testify of an internal change. Basically, that just means what happens on the outside proves what is happening on the inside. The devotional explains that Jesus softens whatever is harsh and rough in our temper. Think about it. If you naturally get angry super quickly, or maybe you have kind of rough manners, letting Jesus into your heart is exactly like feeding those tree roots pure water. It smooths out those rough edges on the inside, which naturally smooths out your manners on the outside. Okay, here's another one of those big words from our text. Sanctifier. The devotional says the truth of Jesus is the sanctifier and the refiner. A sanctifier is basically something that cleanses your heart and makes you holy on the inside. Imagine you've got this super dirty, muddy penny, right? And you polish it until it looks brand new and shiny. That is exactly what a sanctifier does. When it's received into the heart, it works with this quiet, hidden power, totally transforming you from the inside out, making you clean and bright. Which brings us to Section 2, Spotting Sour Fruit, Warning Signs. Because, well, what happens when things go wrong? Let's totally shift our focus for a second and see what happens when a tree isn't drinking from that pure source of Jesus. Basically, we start to see some major warning signs. The devotional actually puts it perfectly here. If the fruit is sour and unpalatable, the
The rootlets of that tree are not drawing nourishment from a pure source. Now, unpalatable just means gross to eat. Imagine biting into a totally raw, ridiculously sour lemon right now. Your eyes start watering, your face scrunches all up, it's so sour. Well, if someone's words and actions make you feel like you just bit into a sour lemon, that means their roots aren't getting the right kind of water.
So there is a super clear difference between the two. On one side, we have sweet fruit, a gentle, kind, and pleasant demeanor. That is what it looks like when someone is following Jesus. But on the flip side, we have sour fruit, blustering, fault-finding, and overbearing behavior. Fault-finding means someone who's, always pointing out your mistakes. And blustering or overbearing means someone who is just acting rough, loud, or kind of bullying. The devotional makes it super clear that a loud, bullying person who's constantly complaining, they're acting just like sour fruit.
The text actually gives us a few specific warning signs of this sour fruit to look out for. Things like a rough and sour attitude, or just being flat-out unkind in the words we use toward others. The devotional neutrally explains that people who act rough, sour, and unkind simply haven't learned from Jesus yet. In fact, it says that these actions show they're exhibiting signs of serving the wicked one instead of serving God. It's definitely a strong reminder of just how important our everyday behavior really is.
All right, let's pivot to Section 3, Leaving a Bright Track, Your Daily Influence. Let's get back to the super encouraging, happy conclusion of the devotional, because the impact of spending time with Jesus is honestly amazing. Let's talk about what happens when we really get this right. I absolutely love this line. The devotional promises that pleasant, kind Christians will have an incredible influence. It says, "The light borrowed from heaven will shed its brightening rays to the pathway of others." Just think about that for a second. When you are kind and pleasant, you're actually borrowing a little bit of light from heaven itself, and you're using it to brighten up the paths of your friends, your family, your teachers. You basically become a walking flashlight of God's love. How cool is that?
So the big question is, how do we keep our fruit sweet and keep our flashlight shining bright? Well, the devotional summarizes it perfectly right here. First, keep your affections, the things you love and care about the most, in harmony with the Savior. Second, keep your character meek and lowly. That really just means staying humble and not walking around thinking you're way better than everyone else. And third, hide your life with Christ in God. Staying connected to Jesus just automatically makes our daily fruit sweet. And as the devotional says, it helps us leave a bright track everywhere we go.
To wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a question to chew on today. If your words were a piece of fruit today, how would they taste to someone else? Would they be perfectly sweet, refreshing, and delicious? Or would they make someone's face totally scrunch up like they just bit into a super sour lemon? Remember, your daily actions are literally the fruit growing on your tree. So keep Jesus in your heart, let him water those roots, and your kindness will seriously become a superpower that brightens the whole world around you. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.